going into my basketball. Every time I rock, man, this is how we rap and raw. Peace to my man, now we got the camera out. Every time I spit it, cross over the...
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Josh, also known as Yashu, and you're tuning into episode 51, TLOY Talks podcast. You know, we're having it like all over, like on all other platforms like Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, much more. You know, definitely like check those out like on all platforms. And, you know, we just get this started right now, you know. So basically, she just dropped her latest EP, I Am Tower Lord, Chapter 1. Was also known for performing at Rolling Loud last year in Toronto, and had like a magnificent like set like from there and all that. Just like from seeing like the visuals and everything like that. Has worked with the likes of Dub J, Young Tory, Roni, Nanu, much more, and you know was a former child rapper turned actual rapper and recording artist. We have Tara Lord in the building. Tara, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You know, like we just like actually like tapped in just recently at your EP release party and all that, and like it was actually like a dope event and all that. You had a spoken word artist perform and all that, and you know I've been like checking out like the music from there for a while and all that. And I think the first time I actually might have noticed you, or like we kind of like sort of linked up was at NASCAR Aloe's show last year and all that. And I think we just kind of like said like hi briefly for a bit too, and then we kind of get to know each other more like at that EP release party just like a while back too. So, you know, it's been interesting that you've been making, you know, your name more like relevant like in the networking and like Toronto music scene and all that. Just like it's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely been, you know, pushing harder and doing more shows and just trying to get out there, trying to network more because like your network is really your net worth for real. So
nah, 100%, you know, and you know, I think everything has been discussed like within past interviews and within your music too, but this is going to be like a little bit more in depth, like in some cases to kind of answer certain stuff as well as to speak about like the EP as well too. So I want to get it started right here. So where did you grow up, and what was like the environment like for you growing up? Would you say you had a great childhood, or would it be like a very different experience?
I would say I had a good childhood, you know, mom and dad together. I lived in a house in Scarborough. Shout out to Scarborough. I went to General Kruger, which is right behind Winston Churchill, Birchmount and Lawrence. So yeah, I grew up in Scarborough. I had a good childhood. I grew up around music. So I was kind of like, my mom was always playing music. My dad had a music studio. So music was a big part of my childhood. I also did like gymnastics as a child. I did like dancing, singing, performing, just all of that stuff. And I'm lucky to have supportive parents that also have been supporting me since a kid, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. And you know, like Scarborough, like even at that time too, because you grew up like in the late 90s or like mid 90s, right?
I was born in 99, so I grew up in like 2000s, early
true.
2000s, yeah.
Yeah, so like around that time, like it was like sort of big with music, you know, with Cardinal Official, with Maestro Fresh West, with your father, with everyone else, to like now with like 3M French, you know, Bugs, Roni, everyone else too. So in Scarborough at the time as a kid, you know, was it big for music at the time, just as like an industry area or just as a community at the time?
I feel like I just grew up in like a neighborhood, a community. I didn't know that much about the music industry yet as a child. Like I remember hearing like Cardinal Official and like what's it called? Like Classified and people like that on the radio. But I didn't really tap into the music scene until honestly after I left Scarborough and I moved to Durham. That's when I started tapping in to the Toronto scene more.
Nah, most definitely. And you know, you've discussed like your father like many times. You know, he was a part of the original like Sunshine Crew.
Yeah,
and was also doing like
you
many.
Did your history.
Yeah, I mean, I watched like a lot of like interviews like just like the past couple of days. So it's like I already know like more about the foundation of what your father's doing, but you know, knowing that he directed music videos and you know, he owned a studio, you know, how was it like at that time, you know, being in the studio and on set for some of his directed stuff? Did it give you sort of like a glimpse of what the music scene was like for you in that sense too?
Yeah, I mean, I was a really young child, so I don't remember too much from those days. Like I'm told stories about being in the studio and being around sets and stuff, but I don't really remember much. I would say though, growing up from what I can remember from about 5 or 6 years old, I would watch music videos with my dad and he would teach me about the angles. And he would be like, "Okay, Tara, like this is like different cuts and this person's lip syncing," and just teaching me different things about the industry as a young child. But as far as being there, I was like, I don't remember much. Yeah, since I was so young.
Yeah, no, because like I think, you know, like even with kids born like with artists and all that too. Like I recently had Beauty in the Riot, who's the daughter of one of the lead singers from Jacksonville and all that. And basically it was like interesting hearing her perspective more on it. But like as you kind of like grew older, like was it something that was like very interesting for you to kind of like shadow like your father for a bit to know more about like the music scene and all that,
Yeah.
even like until now and all that?
Yeah, for sure. When I was about like 7 years old, my dad was he wanted to make a comeback. He started like writing raps, and he went to a couple studio sessions, which he brought me for, and I was like so intrigued. I was like, Nicki Minaj had just come out, she's getting popular, and I was listening to hip hop, and I was like, like this music thing seems kind of cool. I actually went to one of his friend's studios, and I laid down like 8 bars that he wrote for me, and I was like, one time he was writing a song, and I was like, can you teach me? So it was a cool experience for him to like break stuff down for me, and teach me about the hip hop roots, and teach me about what he's accomplished in the Canadian hip hop game. And yeah, it's been cool to learn from him and just kind of continue what he started.
True, no, 100% too. And getting more onto like the parents' side for a bit too. So you're actually half Bayesian and half Costa Rican, correct?
Yeah. Not that many people know that I am half Latina. I do speak it a little, but not too much. I do understand it all though. Definitely, I want to tap into like the Latin market and start embracing that side and making some Spanish music for sure.
Nah, 100% too. And just even being at home at the time and all that, like I know like the music gets played, I know the food is like shown around and all that. So describe to me more about that, as well as like the household, like in general and all that.
Household, yeah, big on food. Bajans, we love our food. So I grew up more with my Bajan side of the family because my mom is the only one here from her family. All my other Costa Rican families is in Costa Rica. So I grew up around Bajan families, getting together for birthdays and Christmases and Easters and all that thing. Lots of food. Honestly, not too big on the music. Besides my dad, like there was never any music playing for like, family functions. But in the house, my mom would be playing, Michael Jackson, Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, a bunch of like reggaeton. My dad would always be playing like Tupac, like hip hop, Lil Kim, yada yada yada. So definitely got like a variety of different music and a variety of different foods too, since both my parents cook. So
True.
Yeah.
So do they have like more of like a curry goat thing, like on the Bayesian side and all that, or like what would be like the signature like dishes like within like Bayesian culture and all that?
Yeah. It's pretty similar to like the other islands. I would say our signature dish is flying fish. There's like cuckoo, which is like it's like the Bajan fufu. It's made out of cornmeal, and we eat it with like an okra stew. Barbecue chicken, macaroni pie, all the staples. Stew chicken, yeah.
100%, and I actually want to ask this, which is like very like interesting too. I know of some people like they've either bought like a song or a CD and all that. So for you, what was like the first song or like CD you ever like bought like to get to know more about music and all that?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I was just writing, just for shits and giggles, I was just writing a song about the first time I bought my first CD a couple days ago. It's hard to remember. I think it was Lil Wayne, The Carter 4. I'm pretty sure my cousin took me to get it either on my birthday or for Christmas. And I remember I had a Jason Derulo CD and I had a Lil Wayne CD. And she's like, hey, pick one. No shade for Jason Derulo because I loved him too. But I was like, which one? And I ended up getting the Lil Wayne one. She was like, are you sure your dad's going to be like, are you sure your parents are going to be okay with this? I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It's cool. And yeah, so definitely grew up being a Lil Wayne fan, Young Money fan in general, to be honest.
True.
Yeah.
Nah, 100% too. And, now we're just like getting more onto the Little T story for a bit too. And I know that you've already discussed about like being a child rapper, like in past interviews and all that, but like more in depth, like in that sense too, like when you started off as like Little T and all that, like how was like dealing with the fame and recognition, like for you, like as a child rapper, like in Toronto and all that?
Yeah, honestly, I loved it. It was cool. I mean, like, I would walk down the hallways and like, my classmates would be singing my song. And I remember one time, like they called me down to the office at school and they were like, look, like your face is on the cover of the newspaper, which was pretty cool. Yeah, it was honestly a good experience. I don't really have any negative memories that I can think of from it.
Nah,
Mhm.
100% too. Because I know with like the getting like the rise to like child fame and all that. Like I think like the closest child rapper from Toronto that I've ever noticed was this kid like named like Little Jay Z and all that. And basically I just saw him like at an event like several years ago and all that.
Oh.
But I know with being like a child, like in that sense too, like within like music, sometimes there's like the ups and downs and all that too. So like usually some people would have like more interesting moments than, stuff that could be like tough and all that sense and all that. And it kind of depends on the fame and like level as well too. So
Yeah, I mean, nothing negative that I can think of in the fact of being known, but definitely like with music, there are, you know, like the disappointments, auditioning for something, not getting it. But I feel like in life, like regardless of whatever you do, there's gonna be that disappointment, you know?
yeah,
So
nah, 100%
yeah.
too. And one fact about you is that you were actually on Family Channel's We Are Savvy and all that. And
Not a lot of people know that. Yeah, yeah.
like I just kind of like tapped that in from like an interview that I just like recently watched.
Yeah.
And how did you manage to be on that show, and what was that experience like for you being on that show on a major Canadian platform like that in that
Yeah.
sense?
I mean, I performed at Honey Jam. I believe it was 2015, and I like shut down the performance. It's still one of my favorite performances till this day. When the Access Club was the mod club, I performed, and after the performance, I guess there was like different producers in the crowd, and one of the producers emailed my dad, and he was like, "Hey, we're interested in having Tara on like this show that we're working on. Like, could we do like a behind the scenes in the studio or something?" And my dad kind of brainstormed an idea. He's like, you know what? Like, we need to do something better so that they want you on the show again. So he put together a music video super fast. They came behind the scenes. I interviewed some of the crew behind the scenes, the dancers, all of that. They loved it, and they called me back for more episodes. And yeah, I did a couple episodes with them. It
Oh,
was
true.
definitely a great experience. Yeah, just interviewing artists, interviewing different people on camera. It was dope, to be
True,
honest.
true. And I
Yeah.
guess you got like the IMDb like credit from there and all that, because like usually like when you're on a show like that, they put like the IMDb credit for a bit too, and then I
Oh.
think you get like I think residual checks in some cases too and all.
Yeah, I did get what's it called? I think I just got like one check. Like they kind
Oh,
of just
true.
paid me for like the filming time. It was a
True.
smaller show, so like the budget wasn't as, big, but
True.
the checks were nice though.
Nah,
Yeah.
100% too. And getting back onto like the Little T like transition. So
Yeah.
you transitioned from Little T to Tara Lord
Yeah.
like at that point. So was it a process for you to transition within that growth and being taken
100%.
and being taken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being taken serious. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It was a process because I was transitioning from like being kind of like a bubblegum type, like haha hee hee family channel type rapper to like now being an adult and wanting to first of all wanting to cuss and also like just wanting to express myself and talk about real life things. It was hard for me to like figure out what lane I wanted to go and how I was gonna make that switch. For a long time, I would call myself I think Tara Lord, aka Little T, or Little T, aka Tara Lord. I don't remember which one until I kind of just dropped the Little T and then did the Tara Lord.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a challenge.
Nah, for sure.
Yeah.
And was it like I guess like kind of hard for fans that were from like Little T when they got to know more about Tara Lord, or were they more like accepting and like chill with that like whole transition and all that and like
Yeah. I think they were more accepting, but I think a lot of people still don't know that I was Little T because I did take a break. So like they might have forgot about Little T and then Tara Lord I came back and they maybe didn't put two and two together. Right. I even seen someone the other day and she was like, "Oh, I was wondering what happened to Little T. Like, I can't believe that's you." So yeah, it's
nah.
definitely different.
100% too. And I'm just gonna jump ship to a bit like for a bit and all that, and like get even more with this project and all that. So you dropped I Am like Tara Lord like chapter 1 and all that. It had one of your most like major singles like of all time, like Praying. I know like the remix wasn't on there, but like the actual single like did numbers and all that. And
Yeah.
I want to get more into the inspiration and creative process for that. So like what was it like?
Yeah, I mean, I've been planning on dropping a project for like 2 years. This project is 2 years in the works. It's gone through so many different versions. Like so many different songs got cut off, got switched around. Until I finally decided on like the final draft of what I wanted to do. But it's basically just inspired by my journey as not only a artist, but as a human, I start off with I Am Tara Lord, which is basically my reintroduction to the world. speaking on who I am, what I want to accomplish, and yeah, just all about who I am as an artist. And then it goes into praying, and then it's kind of just like navigating my journey through the pressures, through just dealing with the stress, dealing with pressures, dealing with life. And the last song is called Finally, because after all that, it feels like finally things are starting to make sense, because it didn't always make sense for me. So yeah, it's really, I feel like it's my most vulnerable piece of work that I've ever made.
No, 100%
Yeah.
too. And like what I like about the project is like more so with the production on it. I feel like it has like more of a unique style that has like more of like certain elements I've heard from like other projects and all that. Like if I could actually like compare it to a project like sound wise,
Mhm.
I don't know if you know like the rapper like Cowboy and all that. Like he
Yeah, I
dropped
do.
like
Yeah.
his debut album. Like I feel like with some songs they kind of had like unique elements from what I've heard on this project. So to speaking more about like the upsides, downsides, the whole like process of life and all that, and getting people to know your name and all that, to know your story and all that. So it's like very like interesting from there. And then I think a couple singles that kind of like got onto me were like the song like My Whole Life, and then like also
Mhm.
with intro, like the intro track for a bit too, because you were more in depth on like what were you do like what you're doing and all that, like with the music, being on Rolling Loud, being
Yeah.
like Little T and like all
Yeah,
these like other like
yeah.
elements too, and like it's interesting to hear in that sense.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So shout out to Mills. He's the main producer of the project. He actually put together that intro. I sent him a bunch of interviews that I've done, and he kind of just pieced them all together. And it was great because it kind of just like shows kind of like the overwhelmingness and people wanting to know, like people want to know, like, where did you come from? How did you get it Rolling Loud? Like, who are you? Type of thing. And I am Charlord. I kind of answer all those questions. Yeah.
Ah, for sure. And like when forming this project, even before its release, like you've had like other things before, like the Praying remix, and then I Yee Yee with like Young Tory and all that, and like a
Yeah,
lot of like
yeah.
other stuff too. So when they didn't make the cut for like the main project, like what would like the reason be in that sense?
First of all, I didn't want any features on this project.
Ah,
I kind of
true.
want to be a little selfish, or I guess selfless,
Ah, true.
selfish. Yeah. And just like have myself on it and just tell my story and get everything out. It's also really vulnerable, so I had to pick songs that fit that theme. Cause yeah, I do have songs that I love, like If They Wanna or Dash
Ah,
or the song with
true.
Young Tory, but it didn't really fit the theme of this project. So I wanted to make sure that every song made sense from beginning to end, and it all flowed together and really told my story of vulnerability. I do want to drop some more, turn up songs and different types of songs, but this project, I just wanted to focus on, the
Ah,
emotions
true.
and the journey.
And I guess like that will be more like on chapter 2 and all that.
Um, Not even. I'm gonna say for next year.
All
I don't
right.
know if I'm gonna keep doing the chapters, but next year, closer to the summer.
Nah.
It's getting cold, so I gotta keep dropping some more emotional music. But I'm gonna be making some bangers for the summer to turn up to in the club for sure.
Nah, for sure.
Hmm.
And just getting back onto track right now, when you got onto the whole idea of being Tara Lord, like how was your experience, immersing in the Toronto music scene in like Scarborough and like even in Toronto in general, and like networking and performing when you first like started out? Was it a process for you to get your name out there at first?
I mean, I'm blessed because my dad did have some connections, like his old DJ and people that he's worked with. So I got on a lot of lineups early. So like before my first album, I did an album as a little T. Before it was even finished, I already was on, on bills and to do different showcases. So I'm blessed, to have that opportunity. And it kind of just went like after one show, someone would see me and book me for another show. So, I feel like the more you get your name out there, the more people book you for different opportunities.
What caught up to me about like you, like in that sense too, is seeing like this one TikTok go one day. I was like kind of scrolling, and like
Yeah.
you were like rapping like on the TDC and all that, performing I think My Whole Life and all that. I think you were sitting, and then I think you were like kind of walking like in a straight like direction. So
Hmm.
like even like creating like content like that to get people
Yeah.
to tap into like your music and all that. How do you value the importance of like content creating and being active on TikTok and all that?
It's super important. Even I need to like up my TikTok, my content game. I try to be consistent, but it's hard to keep up. But it's super important. I mean, we live in a day and age where everyone's on their phone. whether it's your 5-year-old, a 5-year-old, a freaking 80-year-old, like everyone's on their phone scrolling. So it's definitely a free way to get recognition. I mean, before we used to have like much music which would play like music videos, and we had like, even radio. People don't really listen to radio anymore. We had different platforms that aren't really a thing anymore. I feel like now with social media, it's a great way, especially as an independent artist, because you're getting eyes on you and you don't have to pay a dime. You just gotta be creative and drop and be consistent.
Yeah, no, 100% too. And like, I guess like even with the people like that were like watching for the first time, did it kind of like lead to the engagement for people to check out your Spotify and Apple Music and all those other platforms to like even check out the album or to even like check out those songs?
Yeah, actually, I've gotten like messages, people saying like, "Oh, I found you on Instagram, or I found you on TikTok," or people commenting saying, "Oh wow, like I can't stop listening to this song." So it definitely worth it as an artist. If you're an artist, I know it can be annoying to like, do content, but it's definitely worth it.
No, 100% too. And, even with TikTok nowadays, like it has helped some people like Coil Ray and all that, and like the Flyana Boss Girls, like, when they did like the whole like
Yeah.
Hello Christ thing. But then it kind of also was like hard for artists like, with Steve Lacy and all that, or like Charlie XCX, because, they don't want to be seen as like TikTok artists and all that. They want to be respected for their stuff and all that. And, in your opinion, do you feel like finding a way to make your music go viral like on TikTok is a fair, creative, effective way for artists to use, or does it like diminish like their artistry in that sense?
I don't think it diminishes your artistry as long as the videos you're making are in brand and within your morals. Like if you're doing stupid stuff, I don't know if I can swear on here.
Yeah, you're cool. Yeah.
Okay. If you're doing like stupid shit, obviously it's like diminishing you, because it's like now you're just chasing clout. But if you're like making like for me, I was lip syncing my whole life on the subway, writing my raps. Like that's authentic to me, because that's just showing a glimpse of my real life, because I take the transit and I write my raps, So if you're making realistic things that are, related to you and who you are, I don't think it's gimmicky, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, to be honest. I feel like, why not use the platform? It's there for artists. It's free. So yeah.
Yeah, nah, 100% too, and all that. And I think like it leads to like more doors and all that. Like even like before the whole like Rolling Loud thing, because I know some people like they'll do TikTok, and then it leads to like better opportunities and all that, or to like better like engagements and all that. But with you, like I feel like it did like work out like in your favor and all that. Like you've performed at Rolling Loud last year. You managed to share the stage with some of the biggest like artists like in the world and all that, and like
Yeah.
even in Toronto in that sense too. And I feel like you've already like discussed this like so many times too, but kind of get more onto the impact side of it. Like after performing, how was it like for you from then until now? Like did it ever like change for you like in a way?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely honored to have been a part of that, be a part of Toronto hip hop history. It's amazing. Definitely changing for me. I feel like it really, put a stamp, like kind of just like another thing putting me on. And I definitely gained way more respect and recognition, which was great. On the downside, I would say maybe people just like want to talk to you for the wrong reasons, because they also want to get on, and you know what I
True.
mean? That kind of thing.
Like on some like leech type shit and
Yeah,
all
like
that.
leeching onto me type of thing. But I wasn't born yesterday, and I've been in the industry for a minute, so I can normally
Yeah.
tell the fakes from the real ones,
Nah, 100% too. And
Yeah.
like, even it being like a whole like networking type thing and all that, like you're gonna be seeing American rappers, UK rappers, Toronto rappers like walking to the stage, people with brands and all that. So like even like during like those 3 days or the day that you performed, have you tried to like tap in with like other people like to kind of network in that sense too, like while you were there?
Yeah, I mean, I did tap in with this Montreal artist called Slim. She performed right after me. And also I tapped in with K Charles. He performed before me. But besides that, security was really,
Like
I
iffy
guess,
and all
doing their
that.
job. But like, yeah. So basically every section was blocked off. We weren't allowed to really communicate with any of the other artists. We weren't able to go within our section. Everything was gated. So it definitely made it difficult to network. But I did make some, dope connections. And
True.
yeah,
Nah,
it was good.
100% too. And as we finished off like part one, we're just gonna get into like part two right now with some like these other topics. I mean, we've discussed like the EP and more insight like on that, even with chapter 2 too. But to get more onto like the other topics too, what would like a day in the studio be like for you?
Day in the studio. It depends. It depends. Sometimes I'll pull up to the studio and like my producer will be there and my guitarist will be there and they'll just start working on melodies, just like random melodies. I kind of like direct whether I like it or not. I get in the booth and I start freestyling on the mic, start freestyling melodies, and then I kind of listen to it and write it. Other days I'll be writing at home and then I hit up my engineer. I'm like, listen, I wanna record on this beat, and I'll go in the studio, vibe out and and record. I definitely like to record alone. I don't like to drink. I don't smoke. So I like to be sober, just chilling by myself and just focus. Because for me, when I'm in the studio, I'm working, right? So I take it serious and try to get as much done as possible.
True.
And yeah, just vibes.
Yeah, no, 100% too. I know in some cases too, like I know you said you don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't want people like in the room unless they're producing or engineering and all that. So,
yeah.
But have you tried certain elements to getting in that mood too, like, playing with the lighting or like having a candle and all that?
Yeah, 100%. Like for certain songs, like I will turn off the light or like dim the lights or put incense or like put different, room lights. Sometimes it'll be funny because I'll be recording a song like, let's say like, I don't know, my whole life, like more kind of energetic, but then I have to record, but then I need to finish up like a sad breakup song. So like I'll listen to like my favorite breakup songs and like imagine myself sad. So I have to kind of get in character sometimes. So I listen to songs to like either hype me up or to like bring me back down type of thing.
No,
yeah.
100% too. And, you've managed to like even like tap in with like a lot of people and all that with Young Tory, with IEE and all that, Dub J and like Rody for the praying stuff. And then Nanu, I think you had like a song together. Like at one point, I think like I've heard like an interview where you guys had a song and all that.
Yeah, we had that was a while ago. I think it was right before COVID. But we have a song called Rompe where I am like tapping into that Latin side and I do a little like Spanglish on it. It's a fun record, definitely like a summer vibe.
Yeah, no, 100% too. And I mean, aside from like the whole like Nanu Finga, how did like those come about and like how was like the experience, like working with them, like with their high multitudes, like a fame in that sense too, with followers, with songs and everything else too. And like what advice did they give you on becoming like successful like in the music industry and such?
Let me think about it. So Nanu came about because I was on the same showcase as her, and I guess our managers at the time kind of like set it up together. We were down, so she sent me the song, I liked it, and I sent back the verse, and that was that. For Young Tory, I was in LA. I don't even know how that really came about, but I was in LA and he saw that and he just hit me up and he's like, yo, let's work. I'm like, bet, I have a studio session. So I pulled him to the session. We were working on a song. He kind of came and he just like freestyled his verse in like an hour or less than an hour, to be honest. Didn't really get to talk to him too much. It was kind of like a high and by thing. With Roni, I did get to, hang out with him a bit, with him and Dub J. He was just like telling me to, continue to be consistent and continue to do my thing. Working with Roni was pretty dope. And working with Dub J was good too. He gave me a lot of like tricks about the industry and taught me about like algorithms and how to put together basically like he taught me about like Spotify algorithms to make the story short. Yeah.
Even with that guy too, like I've never heard like a bad like thing about him in that sense too. Like I've known like he's actually put like on for like a lot of people and all that, like in building the brand more. Like he's helped with like Paris Richards a lot, with Duchess a lot, with like a lot of other people. And like he also like had this like one song with like Bizloke and Maestro that kind of helped with the community in that sense too. And I feel like I got to give him his flowers for a bit for putting on like a lot of people too, because I never really realized like the amount of work he put on for like a lot of these people too. And
my experience with him was great. He helped me with the Roni feature. He originally he heard my song Praying and he reached out and he's like, this is like my favorite song that I've heard anyone drop all year. Like, let's see what I can do. He sent it to Roni. Roni liked it. And yeah, it's been good working with him. He's definitely puts on for a lot of artists, especially the female artists, which I appreciate for sure.
Yeah, not 100% too. And, even with you, like in that sense too, like what I like about you is like, you actually have a unique voice. Like, like when I hear like Praying, it kind of has like that whole like gentle, like soft yet, you get like serious, you get like rambunctious, like on the beat and all that, you know, like kind of like keeping your flow and like kind of having your swagger up for a bit too. And like it kind of like reminded me of like a mix between, you know, like Jesse Reyes and like Beauty and the Riot, and like alongside with other people like within that style, like Nicki Minaj and all that, or
Yeah.
like, you know, Dreezy and all that, or like Tink and all that. And like even having that unique voice, how did you perfect it to make it more appealing to a wide variety of audiences? And was it something that became more of an advantage for you in that sense?
Yeah, definitely an advantage, but it's definitely been a work in progress. Yeah, I mean, before I didn't even like how my voice sounded on records. I feel like I didn't actually start liking my sound until COVID. I mean, unfortunately, I feel like unfortunately, because COVID was an unfortunate thing, but I turned it into a positive and I just locked myself in my house and just worked on music 24/7. So I really just developed my sound, worked on singing, worked on like my whispery tones, and definitely been an advantage. And it's still a work in progress. I'm still working on, my voice and how to make it sound the best it possibly can.
Yeah, 100% too. And, you know, hopefully it goes on from there. Like, it kind of, you know, you kind of stand out, like, even in Toronto right now, because when you think of like a lot of other people, like, they have like this whole like unoriginal, you know, undedicated type style. But with you, like, I feel like you kind of stand out, like, even with the rap stuff and all that, even with the voice. And I feel like it does go like a lot higher than other people who kind of have that same style, that different like same style that they always use and all that. And keys open doors, so it's always obviously going to lead you to more doors open and all that. So either way,
Yeah,
no.
for sure. I try to be versatile and try to learn how to like change my voices for different songs, give whisper tone, give like a more bold sound. Um and even switching up my melodies and switching up my flows as well, cuz I like every song to be different. Even though it does sound like me, I don't want to replicate everything I do on every song,
Yeah.
you know?
100% too, actually. And the LA opportunity came about for you just a while back, and like I know you've talked about like LA for a bit, for a bit too. My
Yeah.
bad on that. But how did that happen? How was it like, going there and like networking along with like making music and such there, and like in that sense?
Yeah, I mean, it happened because there was basically like three different separate opportunities that both were calling me to come to LA. So I was like, you know what? All right, shout out to my dad. He booked a flight and I went. And my manager at the time was in LA, and it was great for networking. I made a lot of different connects. I learned a lot about the music industry and how it works, and I got to meet some dope people, some dope producers, and I really feel like it helped me grow as an artist. Yeah, it was amazing. I fell in love with LA, and I want to go back soon, so hopefully I
Yeah,
can.
no, 100% too. I mean, LA is like the stomping grounds to getting your career out there and all that, and hopefully it like does work out. Like when you do go back in that sense to even like New York, Atlanta, and like
Yeah, for
London too.
sure.
So yeah,
For sure.
for sure. And being a woman like in the music industry and all that, like I know like there's like a lot of like speculations with like the Me Too movement, Times Up, and like everything else too, and like even encounters like in studios where producers or engineers or artists, they only see like women artists who are women. I'm not gonna say like female like artists anymore, because female, it's not really a term to kind of use, like just like a woman who makes music in that
Yeah.
sense too. So with this whole studio situation, you gotta fuck to, kind of have this song and all that, or to fuck to kind of have like these vocals and all that. But, being a woman like in the music industry, how do you manage to maneuver through the tribulations and issues that go on, as well as demanding the respect that you deserve as like an artist and all that?
I feel like I feel like for the most part I get respected respected as a woman in the industry. It is definitely difficult. First of all, being in hip hop, since hip hop is male dominated. I mean, right now there's a lot of women doing it in hip hop that are actually running the game, but I feel like when I started, it kind of wasn't that many women in hip hop, so it's kind of hard to be taken seriously. A lot of people see me and they assume that I'm an R&B singer, that I don't actually have bars. So I feel like women definitely have to prove themselves more. But in terms of respect, I feel like it's just the way I move and the way I represent myself. People just know that I'm serious and that I don't play games. And if you do disrespect me, then then I'm not working with
Yeah,
you. It's just
exactly.
simple. I'm just blunt. I'm super blunt, and I and I know my what's it called? I know my boundaries, and yeah.
It's just kind of knowing like what the vibe is right and all that.
Yeah.
Like if you come to like an environment where you notice like the vibes like not really for you, or it's something that doesn't hold to your values, you just kind of like leave
Then
and
I
all
just
that.
I just leave. I'm super blunt, and people know that. So yeah.
Sure. And kind of like leads into like this other question as like a growth like in artistry and all that. So from being on Family Channel to being Little T to coming out as like Tara Lord and all that to dropping like singles with like Young Tory and Roni to performing at Rolling Loud to even like having like this whole like EP release and all that for I Am Tara Lord Chapter 1. Did you feel like you've grown as an artist from the start of your career until now?
100%. I feel like before, I don't think before I really was an artist. I definitely was forming into one, but I wasn't an artist yet. I mean, my dad wrote my songs when I was Little T for the pretty much majority of the time, and then near the end, I started writing with him. And I feel like before I would really like limit myself, and I would kind of filter what I wanted to say, and I was scared of being vulnerable. And I feel like to be a true artist, you do have to be vulnerable, and that's how you connect with people. And you do have to you just have to just be real and connect. And I feel like through this journey, I've been able to be vulnerable and connect with people and tell my story and develop my sound. And I feel like I'm now like becoming a real artist, Even before, I didn't really truly even connect with my music that much. I didn't really listen to my music, Like it was good, but now it's like I believe what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like I believe what I'm doing and it feels right, and I'm only growing from here.
No, 100% too. And like I know with artists and like with a lot of other people too, like they go through like many trials and tribulations. Like everyone is human, everyone bleeds, cries, sweats like the same way and all that.
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
we all go through like our days and all that. And being an artist and like just being a human being, like in general and all that, like how do you deal with your mental health at times as a person in your position with a lot of stuff like going on in your life and all that? Do you feel like at times it can be like overwhelming, or like how
Uh-huh.
do you manage to like balance it like in that sense?
Yeah, 100% can be overwhelming. I feel like honestly just getting outside, going for walks. I listen to a lot of meditation music. Like a lot of meditation music. So just meditating and just zenning out, I sound like a hippie, but yeah, just zenning out. Also music, music is definitely an outlet for me where I express myself and express my frustrations, and I just lay it all out on the pen and then bring it all out in the studio, and that's pretty much how I deal with it. But if you are struggling with your mental health, talk to someone, try to go to the gym, go to the walk, go for a walk. There's lots of different things you can do to help yourself. But
True, true.
yeah, that's pretty much what I like to do.
Yeah, 100% too. And do you ever have like any regrets in life, or like overall, or do you regret nothing?
Yeah, I was thinking about this question. I was thinking about this the other day. Um, I feel like I do have regrets. For sure, there's been opportunities that I've slept on or that I know passed because of something I did. But at the end of the day, like you can't sit around and think about what could have been. You just have to keep moving forward and try not to make the same mistakes. And everything's a lesson, So I just try to take everything with a grain of salt. As frustrating as it can be sometimes, I feel like everything happens for a reason, and sometimes some things just weren't meant for you.
No, 100% too. Like I definitely like agree in that sense too. I actually had
Yeah.
like held this like question in for a bit too. I didn't write it, but I've noticed it like a very long time. So you were actually in a cipher with Havaya Mighty before she was actually like on top and all that, and like this other artist named Maisie F for a bit too.
Yeah.
So how was it like, even being in that cipher with Havaya Mighty, like at a pre, Havaya Mighty growth and all that, when she was like still with sororities and all that? And
Yeah, it's been great. Me and Havaya, I know her from time. I think I met her when I was like 16. So we were performing together from years ago. Also Lola Buns, shout out Lola Buns. It's been great to, grow together. And it's crazy, all of us were on the Rolling Loud lineup, which is crazy because we used to be performing at like small little local bars, and now we're on big stages. So it's definitely been great to grow with them and just see them flourish and see them work on their artistry. And yeah, it's been great. Definitely need to, get some features done because it's been too long. Like we should get some songs together, but it's been good.
no, 100% too. And, hopefully another cipher comes in with you, Havaya, Lola, anyone else too and all that. And we'll
Yeah.
definitely like tap in that sense,
That would be dope. That would be dope if we do like rerun the cipher and do it again. I think that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
run that, fam. Come on now.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I'm gonna word this, strictly for the EP and all that because the EP is dropping. But name 3 songs like in the EP that you would like to recommend for any person that has not heard about you before or that would like to know like more about you and like even with this like project as well.
Definitely, I Am Tara Lord because it talks about who I am. If you have any questions about me, I Am Tara Lord will probably answer them about who I am as an artist. Definitely Praying since it is one of my most popular songs and it really shows my sound and it really shows my vulnerability and I love that song. Third song, I feel like that's a hard question. I'm trying to think. This is hard. I want to say Paper Right because I feel like those 3 songs are different to show my versatility. I'm going to say My Whole Life. Okay, yeah. I'm going to say I Am Tara Lord, Praying, and My Whole Life. I love My Whole Life because I have bars on it, but I'm also showing, my vocals and the chorus I'm singing on. So I'm going to say those 3 songs you should take a listen to if you haven't already.
Yeah, for sure. And for everyone like watching right now, I'm just like pointing myself at that camera right there. Go stream that EP right now. It's out on all platforms.
Yes.
Spotify, Apple Podcast, not Apple Podcasts. My bad on that. Apple Music. Sometimes podcasts with music it just happens. Tidal, YouTube. Everywhere else you get your music. And like definitely give it a shot and all that. It's like kind of like one of the best projects I've heard so far this year and all that. And
thank you.
We definitely gotta show love to everyone, with the music and all that. And go stream that EP out right now. And before we go and all that, I want to get like closing remarks that you would like to say for a bit too. Like, where can they like follow you like on social media and all that?
Yeah, you can follow me at official Tara Lord, TARALORD on Instagram, on TikTok. You can find me on YouTube, everywhere. Stream I Am Tara Lord, DM me, let me know how you like it. And yeah, let's stay connected.
For sure. Tara, like it's like a pleasure having you and all that. It's been a dope vibe, conversating with you like on the stories, with everything like that and all that. And, just even like sharing your story for a bit and like getting your insights too. And like we'll definitely do more of these like soon and all that, like when you have like a new project out or if anything were to happen and all that.
Sure.
And, this is Josh, also known as Yashu of TLOY Talks. You could get it like on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, not Apple Music, but, Apple Podcasts is like also dope too, give it like a good review, 5 stars, or any other star like that depends on all that. Buzzsprout, YouTube, much more and all that. There's definitely going to be more soon, so like definitely like tap in and all that. And this is Josh, also known as Yashu, with the legendary Tara Lord. I Am Tara Lord, chapter 1 out now on all platforms. Signing off, guys. Let's tune out from there.
Bye.
Yeah, it's amazing, That was like a dope one,